All right, here we go. I think we're going to be live here in a second. Sometimes it takes me a while and I'm already talking, but oh, there we go. Welcome to Wise Beyond Bitcoin, where you come to wise up on crypto. My name is Lucas,
And my name is Ryan.
And I'm Jacob.
and we're here for our weekly live stream, our interactive live stream. So if you have any questions or comments or some awesome updates and resources, it's such an interactive and dynamic space. There's too much for anyone to learn, so we're all here learning and growing together. This is not financial advice. This is just educational information. We are here sharing our knowledge and understanding of this new tech together. So without further ado, this is our brand new website, which we will continue to be editing and updating, but already putting a tab. Jacob, you've had a chance to look at it yet? You guys have fiddled around
Oh
and
yeah.
seen all the links that we have on here?
I've been checking out Glassnode. I've been that's something that I use a lot, you know. So Glassnode, Nomics.
So do you have any family or friends that pop through like Coinbase or Binance or Kraken or KuCoin, Gemini? Have you heard of a lot of these?
Yeah, actually, I got a few friends who use a lot Coinbase and a few friends who use Binance. It just kind of depends on their region, you know.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Well, Binance, I think we have some news about Binance. They've been in the news again, but they've been around for a while, so we love them. And of course, if you're like, man, I love learning about crypto, but I want some one-on-one or help my family understand a little bit more, send us a message, an email. We're happy to tutor and educate. Spend some one-on-one time. We'll do it online, Zoom. We'll set it up. So, bada bing, bada boom. Without further ado, I think we should start with a little market cap overview. Ryan, what do you say about that?
Yeah. You're breaking up on my end. I'm sorry.
Oh,
What'd you
okay.
say? I think it's a connection thing. I'm like either yours or mine. I don't know.
Market cap overview time.
Oh, yes, yes. Well, it's ETH and DeFi leading the way today, right? Big day back over 2,000 on Ethereum. What are the Kusama? I remember that. I know they've had a really big day. What are they up? 21% as of right
Mhm.
now. They were up almost 40 earlier, so they've been a bit of some profit taking. But regardless, strong day for DeFi. It's good
J-
to see green.
Jacob,
Yeah.
have you
Yes.
have you been pardon me, Ryan. I didn't know if Jacob what his day was like looking at the markets. What's your take on the bullish bounce? Have you found anything in your research or
I have found some interesting things. It looks like Ethereum's got a lot of people rallying for it. And I think ETH is going to have another nice move up, but that's just my thoughts.
well, that makes sense. Earlier we were talking about Ethereum has been Visa and PayPal, large payment processing networks or companies are building on the Ethereum network and investing in the blockchain. So there's definitely a lot of bullish news on, and of course with stablecoins on the Ethereum network and pretty much getting a pass, a worldwide pass. So there's and Vitalik being in the news with doing some cool stuff
In the
lately.
London upgrade, there's
Oh yeah.
that
Oh, and
helping out these.
got to say, gas fees, if anyone hasn't noticed, gas fees have been very low, very kind lately. These scaling solutions must be helping and the EIP. I mean, a lot of stuff coming together is probably working out. But yeah, no, I would that resonates with me. That's kind of what we were thinking, that Bitcoin's definitely making a move, but it's really Ethereum and DeFi that's exciting the market right now and generating a lot of interest. I think even from pop media, I think in fact I should have pulled this up, but that guy Kramer from the mainstream
Yeah,
investment, he just did
yeah,
an article or tweet or something where he said he sold his Bitcoin for Ethereum.
yeah. I saw that. It's
I
going
mean,
up.
so
Yeah.
a few years ago, cryptocurrency and blockchain was some underground, wasn't going to be around, and now it's I sold my Bitcoin for Ethereum. So definitely, I don't know how long it will take for this, to this momentum to shift, but we could definitely see a tail wagging the dog. I mean, Ethereum, a flippening kind of taken place where we see Ethereum and these smart contract platforms to overtaking the Bitcoin market cap. I know that Bitcoin's got Taproot and working on smart contract layers as well, but right now where we're at realistically, there's just so much momentum and growth and use case already on Ethereum and some of these other larger networks like Cardano. You found
Ooh,
some awesome news on Cardano that we'll be talking about.
that's right. Cardano is one of the sleeping giants. I feel in the crypto space. You wouldn't expect them to be only what is a dollar 20 something right now. I don't have it in my mind, but it's for what they're building and what the promises of this platform with all of they just made smart contract functionality. So I mean, it's for it to only be around $1.30. That seems like a undervalued project in my mind. And what with Charles laying all the different international bridges that he's creating right now, we'll get into that later. But with El Salvador, and it's just very promising.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And in fact, it's funny you say that, gentlemen. The day we do this live stream, we can say that Bitcoin's at 34,000, Ethereum is just over $2,000, Cardano is at $1.32, Hex is at 8 cents, and Tether. Just kidding. Tether's at $1. Tether is just under $1. No, I'm just kidding. It's Polkadot is at $15. Litecoin at 136, Solana's at 32. It's a beautiful day in crypto. I mean, I'm looking at major discounts. I see this is a time of opportunity. I think that in a few months, whether it be 2 months or in 6-7 months, definitely within a year, we'll look back at this time and say, well, how many more of our family and friends could we have shared to take an advantage of this opportunity?
Yes.
I still go back to the idea of look at these prices and know that they're 50% their all-time highs without
Right.
the development and growth that's been going, without the continued investment and support. So whatever short run shakes out the weak hands and whatever profit taking takes place, the reality is I it could be a tail end distribution for sure. It's a possibility, but the probability of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all these tokens having reached the highest that they will ever reach last month seems to be on the low end of probabilities to me. I don't see that being likely scenario.
Yeah. And like you say, at roughly half their all-time value, we're still in a sweet spot if you're for accumulation. If you're looking to, you can't afford to. Probably most people aren't going to be able to get into Bitcoin right now and for the first time be able to buy a whole Bitcoin.
You don't have to buy a whole one,
but you can buy fractions, and just in general, dollar cost averaging in at this time in the cycle is the timing is right, like you're saying, because we are at half of what the all-time high was. And all of these fundamental moves that you would look at in terms of bridging chains and adoption of the institutional players, all these things are so bullish that you can't help but wonder or expect retesting of those highs at least maybe by the year's end, if not early next year, and then of course beyond. It's cool, as this develops, because that's you have to take a long run look at it. Look at Bitcoin. Look at the crypto space. Look at it over on go to your candle charts and go from the daily candles to the monthly candles, and look at what the long term trend looks like: the spikes, the pumps, and the corrections, and the bottoms, and then the building, and then the retracements, which lay the foundation for the next pump, and how it just goes in waves. And if once you see the wave pattern and you catch the cycle, it's pretty obvious that we are in a sweet spot, and that there's going to be another new all-time high at some point, and that's this is probably a good time to get in on it if you aren't already.
Good point. And I would say this, like again, not financial advice, but just take a macro approach and outlook to the market. In traditional finance, if I said, Ryan, I found a product that if you invest in, you will double your money. You will get 100% return in 5 years. Is that it?
That's unheard of.
Is that
generally speaking? Yeah.
If I said you will double your money in 5 years, how many people do you think would be running into that? I mean, a lot. Okay.
Very crowded.
Or what about if I said 3 years, 100%, even more, right? So we're talking about most likely returning to all-time highs is getting 100% return. If you come in now and accumulate at these prices, you're looking at whenever it does return to those all-time highs, you're looking at doubling. You're looking at getting 100% return. That's doubling your money, right? So, and that's not even seeing new all-time highs. And realistically, if you look at even in pop culture, most of the people that watch blockchain cryptocurrency markets, they expect it to reach new highs, way new all-time highs within 2 to 3 years, not just reaching back to 60,000 Bitcoin. Most people think that's going to happen before the year's over with. Realistically, the pulse that I get is even with a little bit more of a bear market accumulation, most people foresee a return. And I thought we could do a little video series, 60,000 in 60 days, because I think in less than 2 months it's going to happen. I think in 2 months it will see in 60 days Bitcoin returns back to that 60,000 threshold, right?
Yeah,
but
that could easily happen. Yeah.
So even in that conservative narrative, the returns you get in crypto and DeFi are so ridiculous, not to compared to traditional finance. And for most people, they don't. It seems so ridiculous that they're for right reasons intrepid about jumping in the market, right? And
yeah, they don't see
they're wary.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, between yield farming, DeFi, all the things that you can do with crypto, there's so many money-making opportunities that it doesn't feel real.
And that's, we're going to talk about traditional finance and the yields going on in traditional market. But like you just mentioned about DeFi, look at Aave, up 9%. Where is it? The other, Celsius is up 14%. I think I passed up Compound earlier. Kusama's up 20%. Of course, Ethereum and Wise are up 10, 15%. And so, where's that? I had Cosmos. But you're looking at, my point is, you're looking at the DeFi protocols. The DeFi protocols are exploding right now because that's what people are looking at. They're looking at where can they put their assets, where can they protect their wealth from low yields or inflation.
And we were making this point earlier between ourselves, Lucas, but if you look at the projects that are really doing good today, it seems to be the more established names, the names that have been around for a minute, right?
Yeah.
You don't see Shiba pumping.
Let's take a look.
It's it's like Kusama and Compound and Aave and just your more established products, right? And which I find it ironic that, what was the news article? I don't know if you want to pull it up, but Vitalik just burned a bunch of SHIB coins, 420 trillion SHIB coins, right? Which is about $6 billion in value.
That's it.
So I thought, okay, well, that's deflationary, right? Shiba ought to be doing very good today, right? Especially with this market pumping. But then I look at the chart and it's up 1%, and it's like, that's interesting. And I think it goes back to kind of what you were saying, is that there's a desire for quality, and it's in the meme coins, the hype coins. They aren't maybe they're not leading the show right now. It's not about the pump and dumps. It's people are making. Maybe it's the institutional money. Maybe they're looking a little deeper than just Elon Musk's tweets when they make their decisions. But regardless, it's quality over hype.
Yeah, that's a good sign. And now Vitalik did keep 10%. He had given some to a COVID relief fund in India, and now he saved 10% to bestow to another charity in the future. But the rest of it he burnt. And so for those who are part of the Shiba Inu community, that's wonderful. It shows that whatever amount that was donated is now being used all for charity. And so rock and roll. That's great. That's great news. And if it's up 1%, then you can thank Vitalik for helping you stave off whatever drop there was going to be, because he burnt 420 420 trillion tokens for you. So, but as far as being the founder or the head of a protocol, usually every time you hear about Vitalik Buterin, he's always doing some just very chill, laid back, selfless act in the sense that he's squared away. He's not worried about it. He's focused on other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus,
I'd like to think too that a lot of his actions also overall help the crypto market and the narrative. I mean, when you have people like him donating that much money to causes, it just looks good on the space because we're adding positivity to the world around us.
That's right.
And that's one of the major use cases that we talk about and have been from the very beginning. Before we even had this channel, we've always talked about, right, what is it, mutual aid groups and the potential for blockchain technology to circumvent intermediaries. It's not just about banks, but it's for how we provide services for each other and how we can directly support finance in a decentralized manner those charities or those programs. And cryptocurrency has so much potential for being a more efficient way of supporting others and helping others, or directly, more directly helping those.
Not just finance, but what you're saying is the social safety net, finding ways to decentralize welfare and charity and the safety net. That which is cool because that brings autonomy and agency to the individual, right? No longer are you plugged into some massive program that you fund involuntarily, right? Which all the incentives that go with that. Right now, you get to choose with a crypto-based in a crypto framework, right? With the decentralized safety net, you would be able to choose which agreements, contracts, protocols, aid groups that you felt met your needs the best, right? So there'd be a competition, sorting process, discovery process. You can experiment and find out which protocols work, and it seems like the future of public goods in my mind. But that could be a video into itself, right? So we don't want to get off too often into the weeds in that.
Speaking of a video unto itself, and this is a little surprise that I didn't have in the lineup, but we were talking about mutual aid groups and art and things earlier. So there's a beautiful artist that is just put out a lot of work in the NFT. It's been working on digital art for 30 years. So check out apocalypseartclub.com and read about it. I am a supporter. So there's my what's it called when you my transparency.
Okay.
But it's being built out. I know I've been talking to the artist, actually a friend of Pete's.
Okay.
A childhood friend of Pete's, and he's a beautiful man. I mean, just listening to him for a while, he's had this art for years, over 20, 30 years. He's been making this beautiful spiritual art that's to be kind of like a light in dark times. It's uplifting. It's well, let me not talk about it. But here's the point. He is working that the artwork itself, the NFTs that you're able to acquire, that the transfer of NFTs and the purchase and sale, what have you, that a portion will go to fund a mutual aid group, a charity that they work with.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's here's some of it. I mean, when I first saw it, and this is stuff that he's had for years before he even knew what blockchain and crypto was. He's very green behind, he's very new to cryptocurrency and blockchain. But as a digital artist and someone who does work to empower children in schools and communities, he's been working with those programs for a while. So this has just been a recent outlet. I'll catch you guys up more on this, but it just made me think of it, mutual aid groups and art. I'm just tickled. And first of all, this art, I mean, gosh, look at this. I mean, hello.
Yeah, it's very cool. I like it.
Pretty neat. And he is just excited to come up with ideas to build a community around his artwork where people can be interactive and come up with ways of deciding who they want to, support, what mutual aid, what group, what charity, with the sales and the transfers of this art at this time. So, you know, just neat stuff. But anyway, let's get back on to where we were at. The Rich Dad Poor Dad warns of world's biggest crash. And now you brought this up, Ryan. This is kind of, we've got a little trilogy of articles that we're going into, but this is kind of like a macro approach. We're looking at, you know, what's the macro, what's a more long-term look at Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets with traditional finance, you know?
Yeah. So I guess one kind of to preface all this, we have there's been a narrative that's kind of been very powerful in the last few months, and that's been that we can expect inflation, right, to continue to get worse, to get out of control, and that's the future, that's the macro story that people are expecting is inflation. And what this guy, Rich Dad Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki is saying is that there's going to be he's kind of a little bit of a different narrative, that instead of an inflationary boom, essentially, he's predicting some kind of a crash, right? Where the financial market crash. And so that would be deflationary in terms of financial assets, stocks, and those sorts of things, right? Risk assets. But it would be, but it would send gold, of course, is one of those assets that does well during a deflationary moment, right? During a market correction moment. So he's basically saying that gold and Bitcoin are probably going to rally and have a boom period as the mainstream financial markets deleverage and correct. So this is a different narrative. This is more of a narrative that we've kind of priced, that the money that's been injected has, you know, it's bid up assets after COVID, and that deflation and COVID potentially aren't done with us yet, and that the money is injected, it will essentially peter out and not be enough to continue to keep propping up and inflating this bubble that's in the financial markets. And I guess, you know, I have to say that I find it compelling, because I was of the camp back in 2009 and 10 that thought inflation was a foregone conclusion in the wake of QE and all the billions that were printed and spent in that period. And I was wrong. And a lot of other people were wrong. And it didn't materialize. And the opposite happened. Deflation was the dominant narrative during that period. And it's not to say that some prices didn't go up, because certainly they did, but it wasn't a general price increase that people tended to expect, right? And so I feel like that's going to play out again. I feel like the ability to reflate these massive bubbles when there's a big deflationary pressure in the economy, I feel like that's limited, and it can work in a short term and distort prices, and you can inject money and make it seem to be a viable thing. But can you consistently create and recreate a booming economy just by pulling the monetary levers? Can you keep the economic gravity from coming down if it's deflationary? I don't think so. I think the real economy is going to take over in terms of the effect, and the monetary side won't be enough to overcome that. And that's kind of what he's saying here, I feel. And then that's very much bullish for Bitcoin, because, well, here's why. You would think that if there's a big correction in the markets, financial markets, that would be bad for Bitcoin, and it has in the past, because Bitcoin was kind of like an island unto itself, and the cryptocurrency world was much smaller. And so whenever there was big losses in the financial markets, people tended to sell their crypto to cover those losses, right? Yeah. And or if at the very least they didn't pile into it, right? Crypto just kind of stagnated. But there's been a lot that's changed since the last financial correction, and the institutional investments really poured into crypto. You have futures trading at rates that haven't. There's crypto futures, Bitcoin futures that exist, right? There's hedge funds and there's IRA investments and MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor, and there's all these different. Goldman Sachs is getting into it. You can go down the list, right? There's a lot of institutions that are building bridges to cryptocurrency, and what that means is that now there's a pathway for institutional money to seek out greener pastures easier than during a correction than there would have been before when these avenues weren't there. And so it seems to be that you might see Bitcoin act like gold, as a kind of a alternative investment that moves up when the mainstream markets deleverage or turn sideways. And I'll cede the floor because I've talked a lot now.
Something I want to speak on that point is I'm a little curious about what you guys think with Ethereum. Also, with Ethereum being the number 2 cryptocurrency and the implementation of EIP 1559, that's kind of making Ethereum deflationary. And we can already see that on the testnet. So if you actually look on Ethereum's Ropsten net, you can see how much Ethereum's being burnt from people utilizing the transaction, and we can get a rough estimate of what it's going to be like on LiveNet. And we can kind of look at those numbers and say, okay, well, this is going to have this deflationary impact on Ethereum while also having the overall market crash. How do you think that'll affect Ethereum?
The overall market, you're talking about the financial markets, the mainstream markets?
Mm-hmm.
So you got two stories playing out. You got Ethereum's upgrade, making the fees lower and making it more attractive to be in Ethereum and to use that space, right? Meanwhile, the return, that's the yield to holding traditional assets in the traditional financial space, keeps going down and getting riskier, and potentially it's peaked for the most part, right? So I think that's good for Ethereum. It's both of those stories are pushing towards more adoption of Ethereum and a stronger network.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Me personally, I think that it will show Ethereum's strength over time when the markets, when the overall markets do crash, mm-hmm. and you see a deflationary Ethereum. I think it's going to be the number 1 smart contract platform, hands down.
Yeah. I think you're probably right about that. Indeed.
It's definitely being staged when you look at Visa and PayPal and other companies that are building. And, of course, the layer 2, like Polygon and Matic, the layer 2 solutions that are being built on top of Ethereum to help it survive these high gas fees. So, the EIP 1599, that's deflationary by the burning of Ethereum, which pushed the price up. I'm more curious as to how the gas fees for Ethereum will play out in the future, working alongside these layer 2s. And going back to what y'all were talking about with the role that traditional finance will play versus Ethereum and crypto, I could see both markets taking a dip together, because often there is definitely still a strong correlation between the two, as much as there's being a decoupled. I could see them both taking a dip together, and then
they're rallying.
And then after that dip, you'll see the rally not taking place in traditional finance that people are used to in the past and expecting, but instead what you'll see is that haven, because we're already seeing the infrastructure being built behind the scenes right now. We're seeing the infrastructure bridging traditional finance to crypto. So I could see after that next, after the next dip,
And I think you saw that same story play out when the COVID correction happened in the mainstream financial markets. Bitcoin and the whole crypto space sold off immediately, along with the Dow and the S&P and everything else. And then it came roaring back, as just as you said, as that's where some of those dollars that were freed up, cashing out of those markets, went into crypto. So I think you're right. It'll be a dip, of course, as everything sells off on bad news.
Sure.
But then as the dust settles, people will start looking at what's available in DeFi and what you can do on the Ethereum network, and they're going to say, well, this is where we want to be by the dip, and then get ready. You better, hopefully you're in, because it's going to take off.
You know what? Speaking of Ethereum, I just want to drop a quick wise mention, because if you're bullish on Ethereum, be bullish on the asset that's being backed by Ethereum.
Yeah.
You know?
Indeed.
Just makes sense to me.
Yeah, we checked in with Wise earlier, and it had rallied just the same as Ethereum had, same percentage. I think it was almost 40 cents, 39 cents, and some.
It was up close to 15%, a little over 15% at the same time Ethereum was. Ethereum, so Ethereum backs Wise, right? Ethereum backs Wise, and as a smart contract that's operating and doing its thing, it's a sleeping. It's a sleep. This is not financial advice, just educational information. Go do your research, but check out Uniswap. Check out the largest decentralized exchange built on Ethereum, ownerless, locked liquidity. As these floodgates can open up and more people look to seriously get involved in crypto, the having the liquidity to get in and get out is going to matter, and having access to liquidity is going to matter. No one wants to have that bank run where there's a rug pull and the capital's not there and they can't you know receive their asset out of the bank or out of the vault. So that's really what that locked liquidity represents. And what's beautiful when you look at the price of Wise, well, shucks, Ethereum's up right now with the correction 4.7%. So Wise will be somewhere in that range, plus or minus, because why? Some people are buying, some people are selling at any given time.
Right.
But 5.29%. There you go.
Even more.
Even more.
Yeah.
So the thing is that what's beautiful about it is just seeing that the smart contract works. For me, it when it's ready for that next, when crypto's ready for that next, no one can time it. No one knows. But when you see other projects that are having hacks and they're having rug pulls or just poor tokenomics, and they just deflate, they just go away because they just die. Here you see a protocol that not only is continuing to function exactly as it was designed, but being locked with as basically an ETH bond. You follow it and follow us later on. Wise Guys Masterminds Cam invited us. We'll be jumping on a stream with Peter, the founder of Wise, to catch up and talk about what they've been doing. I know they've got stuff on Viper Swap, Harmony One. They've got Polygon Matic Layer 2. They're working to do things with Polkadot and Cardano. I know they already have things on the Binance Smart Chain. So interoperability and smart contracts that work. This is, and DeFi, they're going to be jumping in. We were talking about Aave earlier, but Wise is going to build out its own decentralized finance, interest loaning and borrowing. Now borrowing and lending. So this is, this is the future. I love seeing projects that are dynamic and that grow and that add layers and they build value. They don't just have anonymous developers that walk away. They have a transparent team that sticks around and continues to find ways to grow the community, make it interoperable, and build value. Because it's a survival of the fittest in this world out here.
That's right. No, I agree. Wise is a standout project. The locked liquidity, that is, that's a novel thing. A backed crypto project is, I don't know if there's another that meets those.
Well, and it monetizes time, and the other aspect is monetizing time. So you've got the locked liquidity, which means that no one can go and take that Ethereum asset, which we all can see that Ethereum seems to be a digital asset that will continue to appreciate. And you have that, but you also have it where you can lock it up and earn interest that gives you more access to that pool of Ethereum through Wise Token. So it's that, to me, it's a smart contract to monetize time. It's the most pure smart contract money, a smart contract money that I have seen. If you know another, drop in the comments. Let me know. I'd love to know a more equitable and a more ethical foundation.
That was a good segue into this next story that we have a tweet regarding jump bonds. They're super low yields. Mm-hmm. Charlie Vilello, he's from Compound. He's sharing a chart showing the narrow spreads, tightest spreads since July of 2007 between junk bonds and treasury bonds. So what does that mean? Well, junk bonds are just the private debt of corporations, whereas treasury bonds are public debt that the treasury pays back out of the limitless revenue it has through taxes, right? So people consider junk bonds to be risky because you aren't positive if this private company can pay the debt back. And typically, for taking on more risk, you get more yield. You get a greater return. And we're seeing here that the return has never been, the differential between junk and risk-free has never been so narrow. So, which that's saying is there's so much money sloshing around financial markets that people are paying very high prices for very risky investments. And I love the part at the bottom of this tweet where he says it hasn't been this tight since July of 07. Now, what is it? What is that? What is 2007? That should ring some bells, because that was the year that the great financial crisis in 08 kind of sparked. There was the event in the credit markets in 07 where liquidity dried up for commercial paper, which is basically junk bonds, but they're overnight junk bonds. The kind of lending that big companies and small companies tap into to pay their payroll and just to handle their day-to-day expenses. Well, that liquidity dried up, those markets seized, and people weren't able to raise money, and they weren't able to sell that debt, and there was no market for that debt for a little while. And so the debt fell in value, interest rates climbed and shot up crazy, and the whole economy seized up. And this was like this was what's called shadow banking, if you're ever familiar with that. There's this shadow banking sector. It's all about, it's basically just credit markets where short-term loans are bought and sold. So this whole thing seized up in 07. And it was, and kind of what led to that moment was something that was very similar is what's happening now, which is this very narrow spread between very risky bonds and risk-free bonds, which signals a undue exuberance and optimism about the future of the economy. So you wouldn't buy those risky investments unless you were unduly optimistic. And so it's a sign that we're in a bit of a mania phase of the bubble of the market that I don't know, that we probably have a chance to go down from here, right?
Oh, for sure. And that makes sense. The question is are we there now, or will we be reaching that within a few months, right? Or
I would think it's further out,
or in a year. But I do see that this is the story. I don't feel that we're at the peak of this playing out. I do feel this is the story to play out. But when will it play out? It looks like it might be within a year away. How and where the prices in crypto a year-ish. I think because you said, look, 2007 to 2008, and here we are. It's kind of like a year in a year ahead forecasting, and I feel that
it's also the case that things are moving faster these days than ever before. It feels like everything's just history that almost like sped up.
It could happen soon.
That's not an objective statement, but it's my feeling.
And when the next crypto crash is going to crash hard.
The next financial crash.
The next financial crash, which will affect crypto at the same, will be a hard one.
Yeah.
A big one. And it'll be worldwide. It'll be a worldwide for sure. It'll be I feel. All right. Well, on that bright, wonderful, smiling note, what do we have here?
Oh, okay. This is a good story. So the Bitcoin futures at the CME Group is passing 1 million contracts that have been traded. So that's a milestone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Another example of institutional integration is what this is.
Yeah, it's just exactly. It's just showing that traditional finance and cryptocurrency are now in a happy. Well, they're definitely in the same ballpark. Yeah.
Exactly.
But anything else you want to mention on this?
Not something too much. I just like the general theme of, hey, we're seeing. I mean, it references the Goldman Sachs story, which I like. But this is just another story of institutional investment integrating. So there's nothing more than that I caught here.
No, that was the main point that I saw too. This is what I really wanted to get to after that.
Okay. Ah, yes, the privacy story. Oof.
No, not that. That's Jacob. Jacob's got that. We're gonna come out in a second.
There's an element of this that's a privacy story because he's
Oh,
a billionaire.
you're right.
Billionaire.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Pardon me. I was foreshadowing a couple articles Jacob pulled up. All right, rock and roll. Go into it, Ryan.
Okay, so yeah, this Ricardo Salinas, billionaire from Mexico. I think he's got a bank, Banco Azteca, and they want to become the first bank to accept Bitcoin, and they're going to also accept Dogecoin, ETH, and there are a couple privacy coins too. Monero, I believe Zcash is on it, and if you read his little interview, he makes some really critical comments about fiat money, and he also makes some critical comments about Dogecoin, and I don't want to be vulgar, but he calls them shit coins. And hold on, I misspoke. He's not including ETH or Dogecoin. I'm sorry. He's endorsing Bitcoin. He's
And privacy
excluding
tokens.
ETH and Dogecoin, and he's also including the privacy coins like Monero and Zcash. So that was the interesting thing here, is that he's not a fan of ETH. Kind of a maximalist approach, I guess, with a privacy layer right on there.
Well,
I've just never understood maximalism in crypto, because it seems to me that each one fundamentally does a different thing.
Yeah. And the world is so big with so many people, with so many flows of money, that there's enough room for all of them, plus more we haven't thought of yet.
True.
If you really want to onboard the entire world. Now, if that's not your goal, then no, you can be a maximalist.
now he's not a
But
max.
if that is your goal, then I don't see how maximalist. No, he's not a maximalist.
He's also into privacy coins, and
Yeah.
the question is,
But why not ETH? That's kind of where my maximalist.
well, here's what I would say. Why? Who knows if Cardano, or if there's another smart contract platform that he chooses to use instead. If he's purposely staying out of ETH, because there are other Polkadot, Cardano, there are other smart
True.
contract platforms that are looking to take market share and join this. So this could be a foreshadowing of more people coming out and say, well, we're using Cardano, and other people say, well, we're using Ethereum, and oh wait, here we go, let's see it. Some people are going to use this smart contract, some people are going to use others in order to keep the glut off of one chain, because
right.
there's not enough without layer twos for any one chain to do it. So you'll have these conglomerates basically of smart, and they're be able to be interoperable through bridges of a sort.
There's a passage on here in this article that kind of talks about his reasoning on ETH. He says that there was no finite supply of ETH, so he's making a criticism of its supply function.
Yeah, but that's an ignorant that's an ignorant function. That really is a poor. It's a poor understanding, because right, if you look at gold or silver, technically there's an infinite amount of gold. Even though there's a finite at any given point in time, we know that there's, but technically, as long as every year after year you can mine more gold, year after year.
With oil, there's as our people always talk about finite oil and peak oil, but from an economics perspective, you can grow the supply of a scarce resource by learning new methods of getting more out of it, right?
Well, to that point, in the energy industry, peak oil is kind of a joke, because there's already the technology, like you say, through oil shales and other places, that they know that there are billions in reserves that they are just not touching, because the price of oil hasn't gotten high enough to go there. But the moment it does, boom, there's a whole another level of being able to extract. So yeah, the whole
claim is overwrought, I would say, by Mr. Salinas.
So, but that's interesting. Well, because here my point is that the idea that just because you can, as long as the rate at which the supply comes out is limited or fixed, and you have
relatively. Yeah.
That's really what you look for a healthy currency. Not that at year 10 no one can make it anymore. In fact,
that's actually not good.
it's not good.
Yeah.
In
Because
fact,
now you've got this need to have people using ever smaller units of it, which makes it more difficult to add more users, right?
in the future.
In the future, right? And the population is going to continue to grow. The needs of the economy will continue to grow. We will need ever larger amounts of these currencies if they become truly a medium of exchange.
In fact, ETH stands and or wise tokens built on the Ethereum network, or that tokenomics seems to lend more support to being a currency for the world than does something where the supply ends at some point in time.
Capped arbitrarily. Yeah.
Yeah. What generation gets that lucky?
Right. There's like 21 million bitcoins that'll ever exist, right? So clearly, there's going to be people who just get left holding the bag and can't buy one.
But a standard rate of inflation, that is more sound, right?
Yeah, I would think. The key is what you said, a fixed, predictable, programmed rate of inflation.
Right.
Something that you don't have to guess. What are they going to do next year? What happens if the monetary authorities change their mind?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the questions you don't want to worry about.
You talked about this earlier, but I had to pull up the article.
Yeah. So Charles is talking with the leaders of El Salvador, and we're looking to see about integrating Cardano along with Bitcoin and others as legal tender.
Now think about this: Cardano is talking to El Salvador, and that banker in Mexico didn't mention Ethereum. Could do some work with Cardano. I mean, we could be looking at Central America, Cardano, Ethereum working. Like, I'm not going to see that. We're going to see it that bricked out, right? It's not like we'll have what is it? The
Neo in the East.
Right.
No, I hope not.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, the BRICS countries, all using the Cardano network right now.
Mm-hmm.
But this is interesting, and it's just bullish on cryptocurrency. I mean, for me, it's like clearly the prices don't reflect where the market's at right now. I don't see how you can say that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all these tokens on these networks, that they really have it priced in. When you look at this news, and we're talking about El Salvador and countries adopting Bitcoin or Cardano or Ethereum, literally cryptocurrencies are communicating with leaders of nations.
Right. They're bypassing the regulators.
On
global regulators, yeah.
For instituting new
if you scroll down on that article to the section where it says it's under Cardano community, since blockchain is more than just Bitcoin. It says El Salvador shrugs off disapproval from the IMF and World Bank to announce September 7th as the go live date. I just love that passage. It's just shrugging off disapproval from the global monetary authorities and setting a date for the completion of the integration of this new system of finance. And I feel like that's pretty cool. That shows you that the world's moving with or without them.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. Dear people of El Salvador, blockchain is not just about Bitcoin. Blockchain allows you to create a global identity or make certain financial processes more transparent. You can even issue your own stablecoin and become independent. If you want more freedom, check out Cardano. So that's interesting. Is that from the president of El Salvador? Yeah, I guess so. Or no, that's from Charles. That might be. That might be from Charles. Dear people of El Salvador. Yeah. That's what that is. Pardon me. So, there's you have, now that's that's good marketing right there, right? I mean, if you make a smart contract platform, you got to go out there and rep it to world leaders.
Right. Yep. Grow the network.
Good job. Well, wish you luck, Charles, and to other nations to use Cardano as well.
Yep. Oh yeah. So I, along with the narrative about growing institutional investment, there's a story about a Toronto-based firm called Hut 8 adding over 500 bitcoins to their balance sheet in the last 3 months during this correction phase, this period of uncertainty and doubt. I think that's notable because it shows you that as the narrative is about, well, is Bitcoin going to correct even further and all this, you're seeing the people with the big funds and the money and taking a longer term view and adding it to their portfolio and taking a bigger position. So I feel like that should be reassuring and kind of bolsters our point that this is still a time to accumulate.
Miners accumulating coins can be seen a bullish sign for the market as it points to them holding coins in anticipation of a price rally. And I keep looking at this like, shucks, what a beautiful time, like right now, to see these at 50%, their previous all-time highs. I don't know when they'll retrace, but I am aware that a lot of the greatest minds in finance and in technology around the world are looking for these to go way past their previous all-time highs. I mean, how much of the world even knows what Bitcoin and Ethereum and smart contracts are? I mean, it's still very early. If you're learning about crypto, you're not late. I mean, Bitcoin may be a little over a decade, but a lot of these protocols are just now they're just now maturing to the point where you can interact with them in the first place. Like, really, it's just the beginning for a lot of these projects. Truly.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We have an article that's interesting about stablecoins here. I don't know if you see it. The Fed chair says that we should be saying yes to stablecoins. Fed Chair Randall Quarles, I guess that's how his name is said, banker from Utah, looks like.
No, he quarrels.
Quarrels.
He quarrels. Randall quarrels all the time. Look at that. He's quarreling right now.
Well, he doesn't want to quarrel with Tether or USDC. He says, "I'm all about it."
Well, but he's got to quarrel with the bureaucrats to let them know that it's a good deal.
Yeah, well, regulate it is what it's all about, right?
That's right. Good job. Keep quarreling for stable coins, Randall. We should be saying yes to stable coins. Yes, because and why would you say, Ryan, that people would say that that cryptocurrency or that regulators should support USD, Tether, USDC? Is there anything remarkable that you can say about the cryptocurrency blockchain market in general, and predominantly which stable coins are adding value and bolstering it up behind the scenes?
I'm trying to think like where you're going with this.
Well, I'm going here.
Okay.
Where's Tether, right?
Yeah.
Is that U.S. dollar based?
Yeah.
Is that euro based?
Dollar
Is
based.
that it's dollar based? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go down further.
Oh, okay. That's what we're saying.
USD coin. What's that one?
Dollar based.
All right. Let's go down the next one. Binance USD.
Yep.
All right. Let's go down further. What's the next one we got? I'm sure there's another one sooner or later. DAI.
Yeah.
DAI. The point is that compound USDC. Yep. Have you seen in this top 100 market cap, gentlemen? Have you seen a euro stablecoin?
No. Do they exist? Is that something we just aren't aware of?
Not yet.
I'm not sure.
Not yet.
But not yet. I know.
Not yet. That's what they're all talking about, CDBCs. But see, here's the interesting thing.
I see where we're going with this.
Now you see where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing. The United States never had to issue anything because the market, as the dollar was the world reserve currency for whatever reasons, and it's kind of started with Tether, but the market in blockchain started ledgering, moving dollars onto the blockchain first, wrapping dollars, so to speak, and putting dollars on the blockchain. So it's kind of created an edge.
It's bolstering the dollar in this fiat world as having still a foothold globally,
And-
which serves the interests of people who are involved in charge of that system, right? It's kind of where we're going with this.
Pretty much, and I would say that it's very bullish on the dollar. So you're seeing that a lot of people in crypto, when they want to get into a stable coin,
they go to the dollar-based stable.
They got to buy dollars.
Yeah.
So there's a huge demand for dollar stable coins, so that people can get out of dips in cryptocurrencies or digital assets, or in the crypto market.
Take advantage of staking.
So it creates a large demand for dollars in the digital asset.
Because you need, in order to have these stable coins, there are dollars that are actually held in collateral.
Right.
So stable coins are demand for dollars.
Correct.
Demand for stable coins is demand for dollars.
Yep.
Yeah, I see where we're going with this.
Yep. You see it. You just called it in center field. Basically, you just pointed center field.
Okay. I kind of see where you're going with this. So it's a way for centralized systems to exist in the decentralized space and still create demand.
Yeah, exactly. It's a way to channel the demand and the activity that's going on in this new emerging space back to the old, right? So it's not either or. They move in tandem.
I like it. I see it.
Yeah. Definitely shows a reason why the Fed and other dollar-based entities would have a reason to want to support stablecoins.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because now look at worldwide demand for dollars without it being a world reserve currency for being necessitated to purchase oil. Now you have people all over the world looking to purchase stable coins so that they can trade or play the market.
So it's like a backdoor, what's the word? A backdoor boundary keeping the world in a dollar framework.
Yes.
Essentially, right?
For now, until.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should do a video on this.
We should. You're right. We should break it down, like just kind of go into it on a little rabbit hole.
I know Jacob's got some awesome news.
Oh man, yeah, let's get into it.
Let's talk about that.
Yes, Blink finally released their testnet, and this is super, super awesome because Blink, as you know, is something that we're all interested in. It's giving privacy back to the users, and the way Blink does that is every single time you make a withdrawal from your wallet, you're basically throwing your wallet away and generating an entire new one. So there is no way to track or trace your funds using a blank wallet, and essentially it gives you your choice of financial freedom and privacy.
Very cool. Yeah, we've been excited about Blink for a while, and the fact that they're now releasing their wallet on a test net, that is cool. We're making progress.
And let's, I guess, just for those new to crypto, just to explain it out there in detail, why what you said is so important. The way blockchain works in cryptocurrency, smart contracts in general, there's a public ledger, Bitcoin and Ethereum the same, where you could go to a block explorer, and these secured networks are secured because of how transparent they are. The drawback is that you have a system where every single transaction every wallet has ever made is under the scope of everyone. Everyone can see what everything is done. And there comes a time where people put their money in their wallet. They don't want people to know how much they have. People put their money in their bank, and they don't want people to know how much they have. People may want to send a gift to their family or donate somewhere, and they don't want people to know how much. Or they want to go spend money, and they don't want it to be some big public affair or some. And that's the idea, is that there should be a level of privacy, and there should be a level of. I should just say that we should support this technology in how it allows us to more efficiently communicate and transfer resources, but not so that we can support perverts. I mean, the whole idea is not a bunch of voyeurs who are like, yeah, I want to see every transaction you've ever made. Let me get your private keys. And, at the end of the day, if we can allow people to have the option to put something in their personal private safe and send a payment, or do something without it being on a public ledger. And then for companies, for commercial entities, or for whatever reasons you wish to be there be a public ledger, you have that option. But to mandate that every time you use a network, everything must go under this, or Orwellian eye, or this,
Yeah, I would say it like this: decentralization is great, but it doesn't have to come at the expense of privacy, right?
Oh yeah,
we got to find. We can find a way to balance these things, right?
Totally.
Oh yeah, and I think it's important too to even speak on that, even with the people's day-to-day lives. If you and your spouse happen to have issues and you're working them out, maybe something happens, your financial stability could be at risk, and maybe you don't want them knowing your finances. This is a way for you to take back that control.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, a good article. Thank you for sharing this, Jacob. I like to see that Blank is going their testnet phase. Something this valuable to the Ethereum network, something this valuable. It's good to take your time and get your audits and run your testnet. So we'll link this article as well as all the others. I know we're wrapping up the hour here pretty soon, but speaking of privacy and payment systems, you pulled up another awesome article real quick.
I love this one. So I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with the Lattice one. It's a hardware device. If you want to just show everyone at home what it looks like.
How about,
it's kind of like,
it looks a little something like
a tablet almost.
Like that?
Yeah. Basically, with this device and that safeguard, the way that safeguard works is you actually load your seed phrases onto the safeguard. So you actually store your seed phrase on the safeguard as a physical device that you would need to insert into the Lattice to be able to use your wallet. And so it's a way to have a layer of security. You need that physical security to use that wallet. And the cool part is they're actually developing, if you go back to that article, they're developing basically a digital cash system. Much like how Blank works, you would be able to send crypto peer-to-peer, and there is no ledger tracing the transaction. It is purely a digital cash. And I like that. The peer-to-peer network, it's just... I think it's very powerful.
No doubt.
Oh yeah.
So is this like the ZK Snarks? I mean, I need to read more. I'm asking. I should be reading. But
yeah, it's a layer 2 solution. So they plan on building on both to support Ethereum and Bitcoin to start off, which is super interesting. I like the idea of cash Bitcoin. That's massive.
Yes, for sure.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the things I liked about Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, right.
Well, what'll be interesting, because it's layer 2, is this could pretty much make transaction fees a thing of the past as well, or at least substantially reduce them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what it says here, that the transaction cost will be close to zero and the settlement time instantaneous. So yeah,
that's incredible.
Really cool.
That's incredible. That's incredible. This is a beautiful find, brother.
One last thing to speak on is if you happen to have 75 grid tokens, you can
know.
use it for $100 discount on the Lattice.
I saw that. I was looking at that. Hold on, where did I pull this up? Yeah. So it's right now it's a $350 piece of equipment that is just a phenomenal way to store and protect your crypto, but you go over.
How much is grid? Grid is pretty reasonable. I think you can spend a very marginal amount of money to get a $100 credit.
You can get on Uniswap. You get it's a smart contract, ERC20, so you can grab it. And right now it's 16 cents.
16 cents. That's
okay.
Oh man,
that's a deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
You'd be spending a couple bucks to save $100.
A few dollars, to save $100. So right now you get a good discount. That's beautiful, and of course. Well, like everything else, everything's at a discount right now. I can foresee that pumping up when the whole market pumps up as well. So good deals there. If you're going to look at Lattice, we'll leave a link for that. But if you're going to look at getting yourself a Lattice, save yourself. And really, this is just an example of how cryptocurrency can save you money or make you money. There are so many opportunities in crypto that you cannot get in that you cannot get in traditional finance. I mean,
Right.
it's like where people will go to the grocery store, and if you took the time to cut out the coupons, you could save money. Well, if you take the time to look at the cryptocurrency connection, there's often another discount there. And this is even
Yep.
with normal retail. I know that there are retail goods where people will accept a discounted rate for crypto than they would for the fiat, equivalent.
Not to mention all the payment rewards programs that will actually pay you for buying from trusted or sponsored companies and get rewarded in crypto. So that
For sure.
And all the faucets and airdrops. I mean, there's just an endless number, not endless, there's a large number of perks, right? And of giveaways, really, that are in this space.
I would say going from this hardware, this new device, and what a unique innovation this can be. Speaking of, on a sad note, we can't end the week's wrap up in cryptocurrency without mentioning the apparently the passing of John McAfee in a Spanish prison cell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, very much a big figure in the crypto world, a big promoter of cryptocurrency.
And for Liberty. He's been an outspoken, staunch proponent of, and for us, one of the things we love to talk about cryptocurrency is not from a leverage trading, because we don't get into financial advice and trading. It's more about the potential of this technology to liberate and to help people around the world. Also aware that in not used in that harmonious way, it can be very Orwellian. And who with a better, John McAfee clearly could see the different ways in which this technology could be used, and had always been very outspoken at supporting this technology as a way of liberating and helping the world and helping people.
That's right. Yeah, he was a complicated man. There's parts of his life that are not, something to celebrate.
No.
But in general, he was on the right side of stuff. And if you look at his videos that he made with Judd Weiss when he was running for the Libertarian candidacy in 2016, there's some really good short little 2-3 minute videos that really succinctly capture the libertarian message, the peace, the anti-war, the live and let live message. It's a very, very good, succinct explanation of that stuff, and not in an overly technical way, just in a more just nuts and bolts, just very much like the essence of it, right? And for that, if you're if you want to see some good videos that make that case for freedom and anti-war and just general libertarian views, those videos are great.
What are they called?
Just look up McAfee Weiss on YouTube, and you'll see like 2016.
Okay, on YouTube,
yeah. Weiss is Weiss, I believe. Video, yeah, you'll find it.
McAfee Weiss vids.
Yep.
That'll be a nice put together a couple of vids. I'm sure people will put together some.
There they are. Exit Politics. That first one is great. And then the Vote Different. Both of those are all three of those are great videos.
Cool. All right. Nice. I'll leave a little link there. Now, there's also another mind passing. And this gentleman is someone who is a great mind in monetary theory, economics. And so maybe, Ryan, you want to say a little something about Stephen Horowitz?
Yeah. So Steve, he's always known as Stephen whenever you see his name in print, but he likes to go by Steve. He was an awesome monetary economist. He worked at St. Lawrence University, Ball State. He got his degree from George Mason. Did some great work with monetary theory. So the book that really inspired or influenced me was Micro Foundations and Macroeconomics. This was a book that tied together those two disparate studies, micro, macro, and typically they're separated. He integrated them in a way and showed how there would be a time, even in a free market, free banking setting, where injections of new money would make sense to keep the economy from going into a disequilibrium. So for somebody who came from a perspective where that was not ever a good idea, reading this was kind of an eye-opening thing, because it was in the Austrian tradition, which is typically hostile to inflationary monetary policy in any time and place. And this was a way of using those same ideas and arguments and tools to show that there was a case to be made for monetary expansion in a certain limited degree, right? And so this book is really huge. I highly recommend it if you're interested in money, and if you're interested in extending Austrian monetary theory in a way that's kind of counterintuitive. And the other book that he's known for is called Hayek's Modern Family. And this one is really fascinating historical look at the evolution of the family as an institution over the last few hundred years, and how it started off as more like a patriarchal tool for blending families and acquiring land and assets, and more of a marriage was more of a strategic thing, a power play essentially. And then as capitalism and liberalism developed in the Industrial Revolution, and as women's rights evolved, the family changed from being this tool essentially, this contract, into more of something that we know today as being based in love and wanting to have kids and fulfilling and both partners coming together as equals, right? And then in this evolutionary story continues with the extension of dignity to gay people and so on and so forth. So this is just a long-term look at the family and how it's evolved, and it's very interesting. The thing about Hayek's known for his thinking about evolution and institutions, and so this is an evolutionary story about institutions. So it's through the lens of Hayek and his theories. So yeah, I mean, both of those books I think are golden. But beyond that, this man was he was truly a gentle soul. He had a great spirit. He took libertarianism and brought it out of the realm of aggression and my rights and my liberty, and he made it all about. He recast these arguments away from selfish, could be interpreted to be selfish motives, and made it all about an egalitarian story of cooperation and how they brought out the best of us and helped us to kind of help lift up people and not to exclude them. So it was very much a liberal libertarianism, or a bleeding heart libertarianism. And beyond that, reading his Facebook profile was awesome, because you got to see a master teacher explaining these subjects in clear terms, and he was so open with his life, his struggles with cancer, and seeing his resilience and dealing with what he knew to be something that was going to take his life, and how he continued on and continued making the most of his life and sharing his family and his love for music and food. So you really got to feel like you knew this guy. He was not a person who used social media purely to talk about academics or professional stuff. He used it also to talk about his life and teaching lessons about kind of what it means to be a good person, I guess you could say, to make it simple.
And he was hilarious. God, he was hilarious.
He was funny too. Yeah.
That's really deep, man.
There's a lot of people who are gonna miss this guy.
Yep.
Who didn't really know him that well, but who thought they did through his teaching and his interaction.
He didn't say a lot about crypto, but he influenced us, a lot of people in economics and monetary theory and understanding. So
he supported free banking
and in freedom.
That's the free banking and monetary competition is kind of like the ideas in economics that birthed cryptocurrency.
Absolutely.
The cryptographic, whatever you want to. The people that created this whole technology were reading people like Steve to come up with, even to be inspired to create it. So yeah, he wasn't in crypto, but
he was of
that's
crypto.
He was of crypto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get what you're coming from.
Yep.
Well, gentlemen,
Yeah.
I think we covered it all. I know we've wrapped up our stream for the week. We've pretty much hit the topics. You guys have anything else you want to say before we wrap it up? I know that Cam and Peter are waiting for us over there at Wise Beyond Bitcoin to jump on maybe in a little bit.
That covers it. Jacob?
I just want to add, if you guys want to check out a good book, something that I hold near and dear to my heart is actually Poor Dad, Rich Dad. Something I grew up with, and I actually, as a kid, I got to go to one of his seminars, and this is a fun story I love to share with people because sometimes they don't believe it, but I actually, as a child, like as a little kid, 11, 12 years old, was at this seminar just full of grown adults just trying to understand money because I was selling candy at school to make some money. And I felt like I've always had a monetary mindset. So what ended up happening is he had a bunch of his free books, free this, free that, he was giving out. But he kept asking people who wanted it, and no one stood up. I ended up just as a kid saying, like, okay, I'm going to run up and I'm just going to grab it. I ran up, grabbed it, ran back to my seat, and the first thing he said is, see that? That's the difference between you and everyone else in this room. This kid took action, and you need to take action with your investments.
Yeah.
That stuck with me for my whole life.
Yeah, I can see that. That would be a formative moment. You got a whole room full of people and a very prominent person talking about you as a kid.
it felt awesome.
I bet it was awesome.
So you got to meet the real Kiyosaki.
Yeah, so we actually drove because I was bugging my mom when I was little, and we actually drove down to LA just to see his thing. Like as a kid, I was a little bit of a nerd as a kid.
That's cool.
No.
That's cool. No, that's the way it always is.
Awesome.
The nerd seed is planted in us from youth, and it just continues to grow as we get older.
Oh yeah.
Well, gentlemen, happy happy Moon Day. Welcome to summer. I hope you guys are staying cool wherever you're at. You know, it's pretty freaking hot over here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got a box fan, so I'm all good.
Rock and roll. We look forward to catching everyone up next week and seeing what else happens in the world of crypto and seeing where we're at in crypto next week. It's always exciting, you know, looking at 10%, 50% gains in a day, 20%, 30% drops in a week. You know, who knows where we'll be at. But there's definitely going to be some more developments and growth and plenty to talk about. And shucks, by then we'll have some more to talk about with our website and the edits and development going on there as well.
Indeed.
Until the next time, I say namaste and have a beautiful day.
Yes.
Later.
Thanks for watching. Catch us next week. Thank you.
Bada bing, bada boom, gentlemen. I think we just rocked.